Cut the fans, boys. We are live. Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live call-in show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is Sunday, December the 15th, 2024, and we have a fantastic show for you. We're going to have some fantastic calls from some fantastic fanatics because this has been a great weekend for Auburn football and the future of the Tigers. We're going to get to all the news, the latest news, all the calls that we can in the next few minutes. But before we do, I want to introduce you to Mr. Cole Pinkston, Sir Alan Head. How about you, fellas?
How about you?
How about you, by George?
How are y'all? Okay, I got to think y'all are just done at this point, man. Are you working off adrenaline?
Listen, I tell you what, Alan, I'm just glad to see them have some success, man.
There you go.
It makes it worth it.
It does.
We don't have to come on this show and go, oh, Auburn missed another offensive tackle. Didn't get the quarter. They
Cole
pretty
was
much
saying-
handled that.
Okay. Hey, I'm telling you, biggest news of the weekend, as far as I'm concerned, Xavier Chaplin, the left tackle starter, 2-year starter at Virginia Tech, signed with Auburn Sunday night. I think that is at least comparable, argumentative to Jackson Arnold signing, to Darrell Robinson signing. Hey, let's don't forget about old Hudson Chalk. The punter, Hudson Chalk.
I'm sure every caller will want to talk about him as well.
You know, he's got a little brother. Call him Big and Little.
Oh, God.
There's too many jokes that go with it, man.
Look,
I
I've
got a
got
lot more, Big
I've
Dog.
got
I'm
the
just
last
getting
name
warmed up.
Head, dude. I can't say anything about
Oh,
anybody's last name, bro.
Just don't
okay?
name your son Richard, all right?
Yes,
Man,
we
listen.
steer away from that.
Everybody called me Pinky growing up. So I mean, come on.
Oh man, what a fantastic show, because we love delivering good news. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Jackson Arnold signed with Auburn, former 5-star quarterback,
Yes.
4-star left tackle from Virginia Tech with 2 years of eligibility remaining. Xavier Chaplin signed with Auburn. Hudson Chalk, Darrell Robinson, really excited about the running back from UConn.
Yes.
And several other guys will be tracking very closely over the next few days. We want to get to some calls and see what y'all's questions are, comments are. Before we do, don't ever forget, if you're in Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, looking for some help with the real estate needs, you want to buy a home, want to sell one, maybe look for something to invest in. Look no further for the help you need, folks. Miss Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. A lot of fours in that number, by George, but she's a freaking 5-star realtor. You don't believe me? Just ask old Alan Head over there. He'll tell you. Twice. Show him. Tell him, Alan. See, like I told you. She's fantastic, folks. See it firsthand all the time. You can find somebody that's ever used her, and they will tell you the same. Absolute 5-star realtor. Give her a call. Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. As always, tell her we sent you. All right, fellas. Hey, real quick before we get to the first call, thoughts on the past 48 hours. Alan Head, you're kind of in and out tonight. You're dealing with some extra external.
Little external duties here, but hey, we're gonna make it work regardless. But what I would tell you, Jeffrey, is, and your guys' reporting is reflective of this, Auburn has done a fantastic job of pegging the targets that they prioritized and brought in, specifically at the premier positions, right? Left tackle, quarterback, running back. You think you're in a really great spot with Eric Singleton. Cleve Lubin, you think you're in a really good spot with him, so that's the impact outside pass rusher. CJ Daniels, you think you've done some work there. Josh Thompson, you're in a really good spot with him. Just a lot of different needs, and you seem to be doing extremely well at this point. So this is so different from this time last year, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to in any way take a shot at how things were handled last year, but it just felt like there were a lot of targets that came on campus, and you just didn't necessarily get the traction that you felt like you needed to create some impact in that early setting. Now, since Will Redmond has come on, they've kind of retooled the staff some. You've got other guys that are on that staff that have kind of carried over, that have been put into different roles. And I think they just got it hitting on all cylinders. I think they really did their homework, some really solid evaluation work. pre-portal work. They had their homework done. They knew where they were going. They knew who they needed to get on campus, and you see it pay off with a game-changing left tackle. I mean, you talked about it, Jeffrey. I mean, it just reshuffles the entire line of what it's capable of. You also got big news that Dylan Wade is coming back, which is another big piece to this offensive line and what you can do. And Jackson Arnold, I really like the kid. I like his fit in the system.
Love him.
I love his potential. Now, I get the anxiety from the fans where you don't know what the floor is with him, right? That's a little bit unknown. But I think his fit in the offense, the mentality, the arm talent that he possesses, and Cole, I'll let you talk more about it. You don't have all the accolades this kid had in high school and not be talented. Now, as it translated into production at this point, it hasn't. But the ceiling is there. And if Hugh Freeze can get out of him what he's gotten out of other quarterbacks, then you signed a guy that has an opportunity to get Auburn way above what you and I were, what I was anticipating, which was possibly a 7-5 season. He's got the kind of talent ceiling that can push you well beyond that.
Absolutely. Cole, and let's don't forget, Ashton Daniels is on campus. 3-year starter from Stanford. Auburn. The bad news, I guess the bad news. I hated personally to see Walker White enter the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I'll always be a big fan of Walker White, but I completely understand. And you know, I understand. Don't ever fault anybody for leaving, looking for a better opportunity, and I certainly don't ever fault any of those Whites because they're fantastic people and know what they're doing. So, did hate to hear that, but that opens up another spot. At quarterback, you've only got 2 scholarship guys right now, Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight. You've got Ashton Daniels on campus tonight, going to have a full-day visit tomorrow. He is a fantastic guy to bring in to compete. He's a fantastic guy to bring in some experience, a 3-year starter out of the Pac-12. Is it still a Pac-12?
ACC now.
That's what I said. So
that makes sense, right?
Yeah. West Coast, Atlantic Coast, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, and listen, Auburn is high on this Ashton Daniels kid. They're not bringing him in here to sweep up the crumbs. He's going to compete, and he hasn't committed yet. But we fully expect him to if the opportunity arises, which we fully expect him to. But Cole, you've been there a couple of days this week. What's your thoughts on what our Auburn stands right now with the transfer portal?
Yeah, and I hope we people want to know about the targets too. We'll talk about that, and there's several. The good thing is you've said it, Alan. It's speed dating, right?
Yes.
You get them in and out. They know what they want. We're going to look at these schools and let's make a decision. It's over. So all the guys that have visited Auburn, they're fixing to be in decision mode if they're not already, like tonight. So that's going to be exciting, seeing those guys come off the board. So far, I don't think we've seen anybody visit Auburn and then go somewhere else. I don't think I'm wrong. I don't know. I have to look. But I think everybody that's visited Auburn so far is still either open or has committed to Auburn.
Off the top of my head, I agree.
We'll have to look at that. But that's where you're at right now.
I think you're right. I think there's some guys that they haven't gotten on campus that we've identified as targets, and probably the one right now that may be trending elsewhere is Horatio Fields. I think he's got some predictions in for Duke at this point, but still scheduled to visit Auburn, so you don't know on that one, right?
Sure.
I'll give you a quick look at the visitors who have visited right now so far. Let's see, you've got Josh Thompson, Eric Singleton, Darrell Robinson, Auburn, Malik Murphy. Auburn's no longer pursuing.
That's the one, right? That's the one that may go off the board with somewhere else.
Zechariah Poyser, Cleb Lubin, Dallas Walker, Jackson Arnold, of course, is Auburn. Phoenix Jackson, we think he's Auburn. Says he's going to take a couple of visits, but we'll see. Wendell Moe, Hudson Kyak, C.J. Daniels, Tay Seymour, Mason Murphy, Xavier Chaplin, Kamari Anderson, Cody Hardy, Rayon Strader leaving in the morning, Ashton Daniels arriving tonight. So that's where we are right now. You've got Horatio Fields. So no, Cole, you're right. No visitors who've committed elsewhere.
And it's early. I mean, that'll happen.
Sure.
Somebody that visited will commit somewhere else. But the important pieces are starting to fall into place here.
Yes.
Xavier Chaplin, good heavens. Measures in around 6'7", 323 pounds, like an 86.5-inch wing. I mean, you're talking first round NFL tackle here. That's the size category, at least. And then you watch his tape and you're like, man, he's a really good run blocker to be a tackle, which is, when you think first round NFL tackle, you think pass protector. But he's a road grader as a run blocker, and he can block in space, and he can pass set. He does all that really good. You look at PFF, his pass blocking and his run blocking are almost identical grades, and they're both good, like the best on the team for both. So just that right there was such a big pickup. And look, everybody's excited about Arnold, or maybe not. I think it's kind of split. But Arnold without a tackle like that, it loses a little shine. Now you put those two together, you go, that feels more complete. So I mean, it's just astounding work so early in the portal. Really good.
We think Auburn's going to look for at least we think Auburn's going to look for at least one more tackle. They want an interior guy and maybe a swing guy or another tackle. So probably 3 more linemen. You've got Dylan Wade coming back. You've got Connor Lew coming back. You're going to check on Jeremiah Wright, maybe get him back.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of work for Auburn that they want to do in the offensive line. All right, Zach, coming to the front. Get us on the phones, big dog.
You know where we got to start first.
Oh.
Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama. You're live.
Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama.
How about you, Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama?
Okay.
I'm glad we signed Jackson Arnold.
Yeah? You like him?
Yeah, I like him.
I think he's a great fit.
Yep.
I think he's a great fit.
And my mom's doing okay.
All right, man.
Awesome.
That's great to hear, Kevin.
And they're moving her to rehab tomorrow.
Well, we're going to keep her in our prayers, big dog.
And I still got how come Walker White enter the transfer?
Well, Kevin, that's just the business of college football now, man. It's Jackson Arnold commits. The timing, I don't think is a coincidence.
No.
I don't think it's a coincidence. So he saw that, probably got some interest from other schools, and it's worth looking into. That's for sure.
I think Walker, at the most, and listen, I'm just theorizing here. I think at the least, I should say, he wanted to be competing for the starting job realistically in 2 years.
Well, you
and
can't blame him.
Even this year to an extent, but certainly the next year. And that's Jackson Arnold having 2 years of eligibility, I think, really helped Walker make that decision.
Sure. And
I still got my favorite, Cam Coleman.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, nobody's happier probably than Cam Coleman right now.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, we appreciate your call, big dog. Always do. Keep us posted. We'll keep your mom in our prayers.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Wanda.
Hey, Wanda.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hey, I
Good.
got my Auburn Live shirt on.
I saw the picture earlier, Kevin. I meant to send it to Zach. Sure did. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right now. We'll show everybody what kind of fan you are.
That's right.
Here we go, Zach. We'll get it up, Kevin. We'll get it up ASAP. Keep watching the show, buddy.
While I
Let's see.
work on my picture, we'll go here. Anthony, you're live, man.
Fellas.
Fellow. How about you, Anthony?
What's up, Smitty?
How you doing tonight?
Man, doing freaking pretty good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How you doing?
2 quick questions. First question, what's the plan on the O-line, bringing in left tackle far as Dylan Wade, and with those two, with Thompson and Moe, like, are we looking to take both? And like, give me your, well, I ain't gonna say give me your starting 5 for this year because it's still early. Just what's the plan on the O-line? And then secondly, all the guys that came in, was there any guy that you that y'all interviewed that you walked away from like, well, yeah, that's a done deal, like that really fired you up? That's all I got.
Hey, good stuff, Smith. Hey, Anthony, you still here?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what'd you think about Jackson Arnold?
I wasn't on the boat, but doing some research, it makes sense from what he want to do. I was on the Malik Murphy guy. Like I said last week, I wouldn't. I think he's very talented. I just was the whole. I want Hugh to work out, and the way this money flowing, the boosters want Hugh to work out too.
Yeah.
I want him to go get somebody that already just proven. But then I thought about it. Hell, it's his job. So if he ride with Jason Arnold, he must feel some type of way. So I can't take that from him. So I'm gonna ride with him too. If he put his job in Jason Arnold's hands, he feel like he can lead him to the promised land. Who it matter go against it. So that's how I feel about it.
I like it. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, and to Anthony's point, I firmly believe that if this staff wanted Malik Murphy, they could have signed Malik Murphy.
Yeah.
They chose Jackson Arnold out of the two that visited campus. And I think that needs to be said because there was some commentary that, Malik left and he didn't pick Auburn. So I want to make sure that I say that very firmly, that I think if Auburn really wanted Malik Murphy, they could have had Malik Murphy.
Cole, offensive line, we touched on it earlier, but what's left for Auburn and kind of how do you see this shaking out next fall?
Yeah, well, you've had 3 visitors other than Xavier Chaplin. You've had Mason Murphy from USC, Josh Thompson from Northwestern, and Wendell Moe from Arizona. Moe's a guard all the way. Thompson is somewhat of a swing guy. I think he can play guard or tackle. And then Mason Murphy's a tackle, I believe.
Yes.
So would Auburn take all of them? I think the answer is yes. Will Auburn get all of them? I think the answer is no on that, just from the way I'm feeling it out right now. I think one of the 3 or 2 of the 3 is possible. I think they'll get one. Feel pretty good about them getting one of the 3. And to answer the second part of the question for Anthony, it's, I got to see how that plays out before I can give you like a 5 for now. I mean, obviously Connor Lew, Dylan Wade, I think he's earned his spot pretty well. If Jeremiah Wright comes back, then it gets very interesting, especially if you add a Josh Thompson or a Wendell Moe, who is a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Both can be guards. Xavier Chaplin is the left tackle. I feel pretty strongly about that. Okay. Right tackle seems to be somewhat open right now.
I would agree with that. And that's the interesting part about having Dylan Wade come back is he gives you some portability so you can get your best 5. He can, I don't think it's ideal, but he can play tackle. So can Josh Thompson. Both can play tackle, both can play guard. And if those are the 2 that, like if you land Thompson in this class, I think they'll probably platoon both in spring and see who fits best where, and then roll with one version of that 5. But if you get Wendell Moe, who's a really good guard in his own right, I mean,
Sure.
It just creates more competition, right? And I think Moe has 2 years left to play, if I remember correctly, not just 1, which is what Thompson and Dylan Wade would have.
Well, you want that kind of problem on your hands, right?
Yes, very much so.
It's a good problem. If you can get them all, you'll get them all, and you'll sort it out later, right? The thing with that it'll work itself out. It will.
And let's see, anybody you talked to, Cole, you walked away from like, yeah,
several. Phoenix Jackson for sure, which he didn't mince words. He said Auburn's number 1. He said, yeah, it's gonna be hard for the other places to compete with this. Kamari Anderson, the Kentucky tight end, I feel like he really liked it. He was very into Ben Agamoa and Hugh Freeze, talking, Bible verses and all that. That seemed to be a big deal for him. And we've seen how that plays out. They usually love that. So, and talked to him a little bit after the interview, and he was big on that. So, those are the 2 that stick out in my mind.
I would say definitely Phoenix Jackson, but sticking with the tight ends, we haven't talked much about them, but we think Auburn wants a more athletic guy, a Rivaldo Fairweather, and then we think Auburn wants a Luke Deal, an inline guy, a blocker. Yeah. Cole talked to Kamari Anderson. Also on campus is Elon's Cody Hardy. I'm sorry, Cody Hardy. And I feel like he's got some visits. He's taking Cincinnati, Oklahoma State. He's going to Mississippi State. He's going to Alabama. A lot of people on this guy and really feel like he'd be a good fit. I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. He really is enjoying his visit But as far as automatics, it was Phoenix Jackson. I mean, hell, he's already tried to commit once, you know.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I'll say one more that's interesting. It hasn't been a lot of talk about him, but this is maybe the most popular besides Eric Singleton guy in the portal is Zachariah Poyser.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, Georgia, Florida, LSU. I mean, Miami, all these schools are on him. He visited Auburn. I think he's done with visits. And he said as soon as that's over. Or does he
Still
have
got
one more?
Miami, I think.
Okay.
I think he's finishing up Miami right now.
What about Clev?
Clev Lubin. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Got a good vibe from just reading his story.
Yeah. Love that fit. And I think he's still going to visit Minnesota and Louisville, I think, are the other two teams in the mix with him, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Tay Seymour, I could see that one happening for sure. Zachariah Poyser, though, back to him. Florida, I thought was going to be
me too
hard to beat, and now I'm not thinking that as much. I think Charles Kelly is going to play a huge role here with him.
I don't disagree. He's, I mean, and I really like Tay Seymour. Okay, don't get me wrong. But if you can get Poyser, I mean, I think that kid in the back end, along with the two young safeties that you just brought in, Charles Kelly will have a nice rotation at the safety position this time next year.
Not to mention Anquan Fagans and Eric Winters coming in to help.
That was the two I was talking about, yeah.
Good stuff.
Sorry, yeah,
Anthony, appreciate your call.
1555. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Doug from Morrisville, New York.
New York City or just New York State?
New York State, yeah.
Upstate New York.
Upstate. Well, that's a pretty part.
About 45 minutes south of Syracuse.
Okay.
The famous Pat tie-dye.
Clev Lubin is from Suffern, New York.
He is.
What's on your mind tonight, Doug?
I just wanted to, this is my first time calling. I'm a first time caller. I've been an Auburn fan since I was 6. I fell in love with their mascot, and I've been loyal to them ever since, even though I'm in upstate New York.
Wow.
I got 2 questions. One is, are there any other high school recruits that Auburn is looking at in this cycle?
Yes.
And
fantastic question.
Yes.
How I know it's the next cycle, but how big do you think negative recruiting is going to be in the next cycle?
Okay. Hey, Doug, that's a fantastic, well-timed question for us. Fellas, any more high school, the regular signing day will be in February, the first Wednesday in February. Anybody left that you are aware of?
Running back.
Yep. Omar Mabson.
Yes.
Who has just reclassified from 2026 to 2025. He's from Auburn High, right there, local guy. I could easily see Auburn's got Darrell Robinson from the portal, and I could see them getting Omar Mabson and calling it a day at running back, as I think you've reported, Jeffrey.
He's really good too.
He is. He's got some Mike Dyer to him, doesn't he, from a size standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. Almost built just like him.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? Sean Shivers. He's a little bigger than Sean.
Okay.
But I can see a little bit of that. I think he's got maybe the agility is a little better, but low to the ground, low center of gravity, tough runner, great vision. He's a good player.
You add him, Alan. You add him. You've got Damari. You got Darrell. You've got Jeremiah Cobb. You've got Alvin Henderson, and now you've got a true freshman coming in Omar.
And you've got a quarterback in Jackson Arnold, who absolutely is you can run quarterback power with him. He's a plus in the run game for you. He adds that extra hat. And so also, if you're a quarterback that struggled, what's your best friend? A solid running game. And to have that stable of backs behind you and a retooled offensive line, I think that can do wonders for your confidence to have that to lean on if you're trying to repair that. You can't go through what he went through at Oklahoma last year with a very porous offensive line, an offensive coordinator that was fired in the middle of the year, and your top 6 wide receivers injured for 3/4 of the season, and how that kind of affects your psyche. So they're going to be rebuilding him somewhat. They're going to be Dr. Phil in that situation, and I think having that running game to lean on and that offensive line that can protect him is going to do wonders for that.
You brought up Michael Dyer. A little in-show trivia. Michael Dyer went to Little Rock Christian.
Yes.
Signed in 2010, I believe, 2011. Yes. Who was the Little Rock Christian quarterback while Michael Dyer was the running back?
I was going to say Dakota Mosley, but he was the tight end. Who was the quarterback?
Oh, wow. I have no idea.
How about this? Jesse freaking Stone.
Get out of here. Okay,
Nope.
That makes so much sense now, man.
I'll be dang. You know who else is from Little Rock Christian? We just talked about him. Walker White.
Sure is.
Sure is.
Wow.
Yep. Interesting. Jesse Stone. That's great.
All right, Zach, keep us going. Good stuff, Doug. Don't be a stranger, buddy.
Yeah, good call.
Hey, did we talk about negative recruiting? He wanted to know about negative recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, caller.
You're good. I got him muted, so you guys can finish it out. Unmute him.
Real quick, negative recruiting. Man, it seems like this year would have been their opportunity.
Well, you're almost in that place where Billy Napier was at Florida. You're teetering towards that because of the record this year. But the one way you could really clean that up was portal recruiting, which is not over. It's only just started, but off to a fantastic start there.
Already feels like a win, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like some of the cloudiness is, and you can talk to recruits, they'll tell you, because obviously it's the pitch that, they watch the games. They all say, look, man, it's not like they were getting blown out. They were in every game. It's just couldn't get it done. Now it feels like they're getting some pieces to get it done.
It does. And negative recruiting, I will be honest here. I feel like Hugh has a lot of internal support still. And so I feel like external view may be a little bit different than the internal feel of the program itself right now, and that they very much support him. Those people that truly provide to OTV and your NIL, they are all bought in with Hugh. So while, yes, there may be some negative recruiting, I think so long as NIL is strong, the commitment behind Hugh Freeze is strong, John Cohen comes out and supports Hugh Freeze, they'll squelch that. And like you talked about, changing narratives, Cole, they're doing that with portal recruiting right now. So you'll be able to sell that fresh start and a new hope again. Now, look, that all goes out the window if they start 0-3 next year, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's it can get real hot real quick. But as far as preseason, I don't know how much negative recruiting there will be. And I know that is something that hamstrung Billy and their staff.
Yeah.
Until the very end there for them.
Yeah.
Well said.
They had a good season, kept it alive.
They sure did.
Doesn't help when you have a good quarterback either. DJ Lagway playing well really helped.
Boy.
It sure does.
Where would Billy be without him right now?
Fired, picking up trash on the side of the guy down the road.
Well, he'd be a little more wealthy. But
$32 million worth of wealth.
He'd be paying somebody to go pick up that trash on the side of the road.
Jimbo and whatever resort he's living in with their buyout money.
Yeah, right. They'll go
Dude, it's good to be Jimbo Fisher and not me at Panama City with your jumpsuit on. So you're good.
Yeah.
Well, 1971. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
First time caller. I'm Evan Patton. I'm from North Mississippi. Been a big time Auburn fan my whole life.
Welcome, Evan.
I want to call in and kind of talk about the Oklahoma quarterback just came in. Personally, I kind of didn't know what to think about him at first, but I watched a lot of his, high school film, and he seems to throw really well on the run. You saw a little bit of the sample size at Arkansas, pretty good standing in the pocket, but I thought his outside throwing ability was really good and stepping up in the pocket. Kind of wondering what y'all guys thought about that and kind of the opening on the staff recently. I think, in the Twitter community, I'm pretty big in it and seeing where
Shivers has talked a lot about wanting to be a part of the staff. Y'all think Q could be interested in that? And who do y'all think would be a possible hire on that defensive side?
You mean Sean Shivers?
Yeah, Sean Shivers.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. Where would he go?
I think he tweeted like at Auburn Football, put me on staff or something like that.
Well, he brought up a good point, Evan. Appreciate you calling, but Alan, Josh Aldridge is reportedly taking the defensive coordinator position at Eastern Carolina, opening on the staff. We kind of saw this coming for a couple of weeks now. We didn't know where it was going to be exactly. But
Sure.
it didn't come as a surprise to a lot of folks. Alan, what is your take on that, and maybe your expectations for his replacement?
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, sorry about that. I think first and foremost,
turn it down, fella. Just listen. Get him, Zach. Get his ass.
First and foremost, you got to say congratulations to Josh Aldridge. That's a huge step forward for him in his career to become a defensive coordinator at an American Athletic Conference school. So that's just a tier beneath probably the P4. With East Carolina, you're probably going to run an aggressive 4-2-5. And this is Josh taking a bet on himself, right? To take a step down, to be a defensive coordinator, to eventually move back up to the Power 4 and be a coordinator there and kind of live out his dream.
Yeah.
So good for him. As far as that goes, I mean, I think you're probably going to look to people that are connected to DJ Durkin, people that are connected to Hugh Freeze. Obviously, Jeremy Garrett is a name that Auburn, that Hugh Freeze loves him. Can you get him back from the NFL? I have no idea, but he's somebody you should probably pay attention to. There's a handful of other guys. I'm probably going to put a note on the board.
Still early.
Yeah, it's still early of guys that I think you should pay attention to. But again, this isn't a surprise to us, and it's certainly not a surprise to the coaching staff. So I feel pretty certain they're prepared, right?
If you're looking for Auburn connection or Hugh Freeze connection, either one of those two, and somebody who coaches edges outside linebackers, Jeremy Garrett is a guy that does that. Rock Bellantoni is a guy who is recently at Auburn that does that. Does Auburn reach out to those? It's way too early to know. But those are connections. Just to start with, you always want to start there when you're looking.
There's also a guy, Bo, up in Maryland when Durkin was at Maryland. I think he was his either DC or his outside linebacker. Anyway, just some names floating out there. You cast a wide net. You cast a wide net, and you'll hear some things start to narrow down probably in the coming days, maybe week. But as far as Jackson Arnold goes, Evan, Christian, we were all sitting there today, and it was like, go back and watch the Oklahoma-Alabama game. If you really want to see what Jackson Arnold's capable of, especially running the football, running that RPO system.
Yeah.
And I think he rushed for 130 or more against Bama. Does that sound right, fellas?
Yeah, he's around that range.
He had a game.
Over 100, yeah.
So I think he's the absolute best Auburn could have done with what was out there.
Yeah. I think I can understand where fans, the other side of the family, because a lot of fans have talked themselves into it. This is just what you do when you get a big name commitment like that.
Sure.
You go, all right, I'm in. Let's go. I don't care. I'm in. The logical side of you goes, okay, he was benched. Why? Why did that happen? What happened for that? And I don't know all the context of it. But the fact that it happened scares you for where you're at and where you're trying to, what you got to have in 2025 in your season. So that's where my mind goes. Like, why did he get benched? I want to look into that a little bit more. But when I watch this tape, go back to high school. You go back to his year at Oklahoma, which he got the job back and started advancing Oklahoma a little bit. They beat Alabama, obviously. There's some good things. I think the fit is really good. That's important. That was obviously very important to Hugh Freeze, right? I think he's got some grit to his game, a little bit of gamesmanship that I really like. I want that. That for sure is something I wanted Auburn to go and get in the quarterback position. I think Jackson Arnold brings that.
No, he's absolutely got toughness. You saw that in the way that he handled himself on the field. And the way he handled that demotion, he didn't run away. He could have redshirted at Oklahoma. He chose not to. He stayed ready for them, came back in, led them to a big victory, got them to bowl eligibility. But again, Cole, you talked about it. When you watch him throw the ball, I mean, it's just there's a lot of natural arm talent with him, right? He reminds me of a guy in Matt Corral, somebody who was also benched very early on in his career at Ole Miss, came back underneath the guidance of Lane Kiffin, was a completely different player, right? So
Yeah.
it's not unheard of for a guy to be benched and come back and be better. You've seen it. We talked about it. I think I named quarterbacks on the last show that we did together where I said, hey, if we did the Pepsi Challenge and I read these stats to you, would you believe that that's who they are today? So I truly like the fit. I'm with you. I love the toughness, the attitude of a kid like Jackson Arnold. I like his reputation on the recruiting trail. There are guys that are excited to play with Jackson Arnold.
Very, very.
Okay. I mean, he's got a long list of players that have seen him be able to play at a level that, an Auburn quarterback we haven't seen since probably Bo Nix, right?
Mhm.
I mean, he's got that kind of pedigree to him. So I'm interested to see how it shakes itself out. But again, and I want to take this from Anthony, if Hugh Freeze didn't believe in Jackson Arnold,
Of course.
I mean, he stamped his career on this one, right? You could have made a safer play with somebody else. You chose to go with Jackson Arnold because he thinks that you think he's the guy. You're sold. And if Hugh Freeze is that level of dedicated, then I mean, let him go out his way. Okay, if I mean, either it's going to boom or it's going to bust, and I got a feeling that this situation is going to hit. I honestly do. I think he's got a chance to really hit, and if he does, that's a ceiling move for Auburn.
Well, I was interested in some of his high school. Why was he a 5-star plus out of high school? That's what I wanted to try to figure out a little bit. And going back at looking at Charles Power, the On Three's rankings director, his breakdown from the Elite 11 when Jackson Arnold competed there, he said that Jackson Arnold had the liveliest arm.
Yes,
which I found very interesting.
Zach, pull up his real quick. Just talking about how decorated this kid was out of high school. As Cole said, if you look at the industry ranking, 8 overall. I mean, nobody, I think Rivals had him the lowest at 23 overall in the country. 24/7 had him at 10, On 3 at 6. This is overall recruits in the country. This guy was wanted by everybody.
yes. More heralded than Arch Manning.
And I love the reminds us of comparison to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield makes sense. The one that keeps coming to mind for me for whatever reason is, if you remember Texas, Sam Ehlinger, just because Sam Ehlinger eventually turned into a downhill runner in their offense at Texas, and he was tough, and he had that ability to get those extra yards and fall forward and just be a gamer. And that's what keeps coming to mind for me with Jackson Arnold for some reason.
I hear you on the Sam comparison, and I do like that from like a quarterback run standpoint, because he's not a guy that's uber athletic. He's functionally athletic, but a plus runner and a guy that you can run QB power with, inside zone with. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do with him that you couldn't do with Peyton Thorne. This is not a kid that's slight of frame by any means. He's 6'1", 220 plus and compact, man. And again,
Right.
Matt Corral's the comparison to me from an arm talent standpoint, from a willing runner standpoint. I mean, he is a willing runner. Not necessarily say he's not Nick Marshall. He's not going to go out there and put somebody in a spin cycle, right?
Yeah.
But he absolutely can go past you and run right over you.
So we need to move on to callers, but quick question for y'all. Was it the right choice to make the move now on Arnold, or do you think it was a better choice to wait it out and see if maybe, a more proven option came open? What's the right choice there?
It was made.
Yes. Didn't we watch this play out 2 years ago, back when Keith was still on the panel, and they kept waiting and they kept waiting and they kept waiting, and then they ended up getting no one, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you are beholden to what the portal has, it provides you, right?
Yeah.
And we've all heard the names that have been rumored. I'm not going to pretend like there weren't rumors of other guys that Auburn heard may or may not enter the portal. But at this point, you can't gamble. If you've got a talented guy that fits your scheme, that your soul can compete and help you win, and don't take my words for it, Hugh Freeze can get you on the precipice of the playoff. That is the goal this year, to be competing for a spot in the playoff.
Good stuff, Evan. Good stuff. Good call.
5202. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Darren down in Niceville.
How about you, Darren?
Early call for you tonight, Darren.
Hey man, I don't pick them. Zach in the back puts me on there.
That's true. That is true.
Hey, just a couple things. One, I think Alan, you're right. It's like stock, right? Do you wait another day or two, see if you make another 1,000, or do you go ahead and take what you got and put it in the bank? And I think Jackson Arnold was definitely something you don't pass on a 5+. I think he was a 5+ across the board. And Aaron Payton, I think Payton was a 3-star. Is that right?
Low 3. Yeah.
3-star coming out. So, and is this the highest that Coach Freeze has had? Chad Kelly, was he a 5-star? I think he's probably the best quarterback I can think of he had.
High 4. He was a high 4. Dual threat that committed to Clemson out of high school, then went to junior college at East Mississippi in Scuba, and then found his way to Oxford.
Did Freeze have anything to do with Shea Patterson?
He did. That was the highest ranked quarterback that Hugh Freeze has landed. And Shea only played for 1 year underneath Hugh, and then that whole 2017 situation happened.
Didn't he transfer from Michigan? Oh yeah, he was. Look at here. Yeah, Shea was a
big time recruit.
He was a 5-star.
Yeah, he went to the Senior Bowl and everything after his career.
Yeah, he just never really fit in the system that Harbaugh wanted to run at Michigan. It was just kind of a bad match.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of, with the scheme, is that what y'all are thinking, that Jackson is sort of that Chad Kelly now? I mean, he's got that kind of talent to be above and beyond. I mean, again, we're talking, this is the highest we've had since Bo, I guess. But was Bo a 5+ across the board closet?
He was a 5, but I don't know if he was a 5+. Now, there were only 2 ratings. Only 2 recruiting services. Well, I guess ESPN was also in the mix at that point still, too.
Yeah.
Let me share the Bo Nix screen. I got you right here, Big Dog.
Okay.
He was he was 4-star on 24/7.
Yeah.
And 4-star on ESPN. Rivals had him the number 1 quarterback in the country.
Yeah. He tore it up at the what did they call it then, Jeffrey? It was in Atlanta, the Rivals 5-Strap Challenge or
5-star challenge or something.
Yeah, 5-star challenge, something like that, 5-stripe, whatever it was.
Hey, before we get
Darrell coming in, do y'all have any angst about our current running backs possibly just testing the water?
No, actually, I think that was the perfect addition for what you have in the other guys to keep. I mean, look, you don't make decisions necessarily and worry about everything. Well, I say that it depends, but
yeah.
In this case, you're looking. I mean, you go for the best available. They thought Darrell Robinson was legit. I mean, they think he's a big back, which is something that it brings a different element to the room. I think he pairs really nicely with what you got.
Think about this, Darren. You've got, talk about stacking that room. You've got senior Damari Alston. You've got junior Jeremiah Cobb. You've got sophomore Darrell Robinson. And you've got freshman Alvin Henderson. You've got 4 guys on 4 different tiers. You bring in Omar Mabson in February. Now you've got 2 young guys. It's perfectly stacked. That room is.
Yeah, it
perfectly stacked. It's as if Auburn signed a stud running back each of the past 4 or 5 years.
From a layered standpoint, you're absolutely
layered. There you go. Layered. That's what.
Yeah. Love it. And you kind of keep that building. What we want to do now is build these classes like we've watched our counterparts, the enemies, do, as I call them. But at the same time, did y'all get to see anything and have any thoughts about what technique and things you saw with the Mississippi Alabama All-Star game? Because it was loaded with folks coming to Auburn.
I did not get to watch it, just the highlights. Cole, you watched it.
I did. I was at Auburn when I was watching it, so I was busy. I didn't get to sit down and really study it. But
Fagan's that interception, Fagan must have jumped 40 feet in the air. My God.
I said today, whatever he's ranked is too low.
I agree.
The headline that I went with, I think, when I broke down his commitment, turnover machine. I think we've said that several times. Turnover machine, turnover waiting to happen. That's why I think he's underrated, Anquan Fagans. There's nothing better than a turnover.
Yeah,
he makes them happen.
Oh, I hear everybody talking about the offense, and it's all about the quarterback. And I get it; we've got to be able to score. Am I wrong? But our defense is going to be nasty.
Yep. I was looking at it today, Darren, and thinking, man, they're going to add some pieces from the portal, but you don't have to necessarily go and get a superstar anywhere. You just need to get some guys that can help out. I think you're in pretty good shape everywhere. I mean, maybe a DB that can slot in somewhere and be a star for you, not the position, but actually play at a high level. Yeah. But you're not having to go retool your defense with a bunch of stars from the portal, like a Walter Nolan or something. You got good pieces, man, pretty much everywhere.
You do. I want to see some depth built on the defensive line, though. I think you need one or two guys for sure on the D line to make me feel better about it.
Experience. You got to have some more of that.
Yeah.
My goodness. In 14 games his senior year, Anquan Fagans had 6 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 forced fumbles, and then he had an interception in the All-Star game. So he's had 7 interceptions in 15 games. So one every 2 games he's picking off, and he's got a turnover machine.
There are just some guys that have an innate ability to create turnovers, create havoc, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's almost Ed Reed-like in that way, because Ed Reed was one of those kind of guys that absolutely just knew how to generate turnovers. Now, I'm not going to compare his game completely to Ed Reed. That is high praise, right? I mean, you're talking about a gold jacket Hall of Famer. But as far as a guy that's a ball hawk that knows how to create turnovers, he's that guy.
Good call, Darren. Appreciate you as always, big dog. Before we get to our next caller, real quick, man, you see me rocking the Q-Zip. You know what it is. Rowback. There's only one way to describe it. Only one way to describe Rowback. Best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Rowback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. It's pretty sharp, too. Rowback just released their new licensed game day collection, and it's awesome. It's freaking awesome. Novel polo designs, clean hoodie, and Q-Zip designs for some of your favorite schools, including Auburn. It's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Everyday shorts are the perfect pairing as well. They are so comfortable, have an elastic band, and great fabric that is made to have the appearance of a nice short with the comfort of an athletic short. Rowback also has been proudly leading the NIL charge with a bunch of guys, including Quinn Ewers, Caleb Downs, among others, have become the go-to brand for college athletics. Use the promo code Auburn20, Auburn20 on Rowback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. And that's spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with the promo code Auburn20. Appreciate Rowback sponsoring the show. All right, Zach, keep us going, big dog.
1295. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Ken from White Plains, Alabama. Just got a couple of quick questions.
All right, Ken, what you got for tonight?
The running back from ULM, is he still planning on visiting, or is he not an option anymore?
No, Auburn has shut it down at running back. They're going to take Darrell Robinson and then maybe go try and add Omar Maps, and that Ahmad Hardy no longer is visiting. He was initially scheduled to visit tomorrow, but he no longer is. Auburn's done.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second question I got, and I'll let you go, is we still planning on having 4 quarterbacks on scholarship after Walker transfer?
That's a great question. You got to think, talk about an overhaul. Nobody that was in the quarterback room a month ago is in there now. Complete overhaul.
Yeah.
3 quarterbacks to the portal, and 1 exhausted his eligibility. So they've got 2, Cole. Got Ashton Daniels on campus. What do you think they do?
Well, you go back to what Hugh Freeze said when he was asked point blank, are you planning on going to get another, or I don't know the exact question, but quarterback portal, is that a thing? Right. He said, well, we like to have 4 quarterbacks on scholarship. And he named who they had currently, and he said, that's 3. So, and kind of left it there because he didn't want to say, yes, I'm going to get one. But,
and he was including Hank Brown.
Yeah, he was counting the 3, and he goes, so that's 3 if you know math. Right. So let's do some math. They have 2. Yeah, that's basically the way that Hugh Freeze said it. And I think that he's gonna get 4 and rock with 4.
Or try, right? Because I think it also has to fit into your roster management plan to a degree from an NIL standpoint. Quarterbacks right now, and we've heard some of the numbers that have been rumored, right? They are not cheap by any means. So I think you'll have to be patient. I think you get Ashton Daniels now, you stamp him in this class, you get him there, and you feel solid about the 3 quarterbacks that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're patient and you see who else enters the transfer portal. I don't think they're going to reach on a high school kid right now. I don't get that sense. I don't get the sense that they're going to comb the JUCO market. I think they believe, or at least from who I've asked around on, that after the bowl game, there will be more players that will enter the transfer portal. They'll kind of see who becomes available there. And then you also have the spring portal. So you don't have to press right now, specifically if you're sold on Jackson Arnold being your 1, Ashton Daniels being your 2, and having a really talented 3rd in Deuce, who's going to be there for spring. You can get through spring with 3, but I think by the end of spring, you would want to try to find a 4th quarterback.
That's probably what they'll do, Alan. They'll get, I think, Ashton Daniels. We all feel pretty good about that happening, and then maybe hold over until spring and see where you're at in that next window. That might be the way it goes.
And Alan, back me up here. If these guys, there's some guys on the message board thinking, oh, wait till the college football playoffs are over with and let's go get another one. Dude, that's not going to happen. Like, you're not going to go out and sign 2 QB1s out of the transfer portal in 1 year.
I don't see that happening. First of all, what's that team that's in the playoff willing to pay to retain their starter? Okay. It like right now, sure, theoretically, there are people that, you feel like, right, let's just say Cade Klubnik was interested in the transfer portal. Do you know how much money Clemson's going to commit to make sure Cade Klubnik never sees the transfer portal? Okay. There are a lot of things that are being done behind the scenes to leverage the current team that they're on into making sure, creating a market for themselves to make sure that they get paid and compensated for who they are. Okay. I think the one person that may look around is the quarterback that's presently at Texas, just because that situation is coming to a head between him and Arch Manning.
Yeah.
But I don't think Auburn is the landing spot for a guy that's probably looking to compete for a title or enhance his draft status. Because Auburn's just a little bit more unsure than maybe some of the other places he could land.
Good stuff, Ken. Appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Last call of the night, 1740. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
All right, what's up, guys? This is Eric Mack from Little River, Alabama.
E-Mac.
Hey, yes, sir. Man, it's been a great show. Real informative, and it seems like, man, we've lost a few, we've gained some really good prospects along the way, and I'd like to see us a lot stronger at running back and the quarterback position, of course. And man, I'd like to see the defensive line be a total terror this year. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in the off season, and just what are y'all's thoughts on how everything is going?
Defensive line, Alan. Great point.
Fantastic point. You brought in Dallas Walker, who I think is an experienced nose tackle that provides that depth that you need until you're more confident in a young player. I would love to see Auburn sign him and then also bring in a guy that can give you some reps at the 3-tech spot /4I. They've offered a young man out of Wisconsin. Cole, help me with his name here because I'm forgetting.
Yeah, James
Peterson. Thompson.
Robinson. Yeah.
And then it's Thompson. It's Thompson.
James Thompson.
James Thompson. And it was Parker Peterson, but he committed from Tulane. He committed to Wisconsin just, I think, earlier today.
Yep.
And those are the three targets I'm really tracking. I think that's another position where Auburn's going to remain patient. They're going to try to probably sign Dallas Walker sooner rather than later, get him in the boat, and then see who becomes available. I know a former Auburn signee / player, Lee Hunter, just entered the portal. It seems like he's headed elsewhere. I think Texas is a big player with him.
Florida State, too.
Florida State, LSU are all in the mix. I haven't heard of Auburn being competitive there, but Colt talked about it. You have a lot of young talent. I mean, young talent in that room right now, and guys that can give you reps sooner rather than later. You also have an emerging player in Malik Blockton who gave you competitive reps last year. You would expect to step forward from him.
Yeah.
So, again, you don't have to find an absolute killer from the portal. But I do think you need some veteran leadership within that room to pair along with the Dallas Walker. So finding that other player is important to me. But I think you got a chance to take a real step forward on the D-line this year. I do.
Yeah, and it's my understanding with defensive line portal, they want to get a nose.
Yep.
So Dallas Walker fits that. If they can get him, it seems so far like they're in good shape there. We'll see who else he visits and all that. But a 3, I think they want to get a 3 type guy.
Yep.
3, 4-eye. And then I think the numbers are still being worked out, but I wouldn't doubt they would take another to go along with those. I think they would take 3 total interior D-line, not counting edge, is what I'm saying. So that'll be interesting.
Alan, I thought you bring up a good point, man. And even I make this mistake. You know, we see the numbers that Auburn wants to fill in this all season, and you know, the anxiety in me is like, oh, you know, who are they going to sign because they want 2 here, and they're only bringing. Dude, there's a whole nother window to consider.
Yeah.
So just because Auburn isn't filling up every spot, this defensive line, linebacker is another.
Yes.
Tight ends are scarce.
Yes. Yeah, you know, tight end's the one, right? It feels like at every position that Auburn's recruiting right now in the portal, there are guys with proven production, with the exception of tight end. Tight end, you're leaning into the potential part of it, and I hate that's just not an area that I feel comfortable in. I felt like when Auburn leaned more into kind of their evaluation of potential last year, it burned them. Versus guys that they knew had proven production. And then when you look at the guys that had proven production, you know, in the wide receiver room, I mean, Dre absolutely killed it. They knew what they had coming in. When you look at Jaron Thompson in the safety room, those were guys, you know, that
Dorian
Mosi, absolutely proven production at a level that they knew, okay, this translates into our room and we know what we're getting.
Yeah.
You leaned into the potential part of the evaluation more at left tackle, and it absolutely killed you, right? Percy was just not who you thought he was going to be. He had reps at the P5 level, but he was a rotational player. And so when you viewed him, you thought he could be a starting left tackle, and he just turned out not to be that guy. So at tight end, I don't dislike Cody Hardy or Kamari Anderson. By the way, Hardy's got a mullet, dude. I'm talking about all business in the front, party in the back.
He's
yeah. But when you watch him on tape, I would tell you this from a production standpoint, he is an absolute mauler at the point of attack in the run game. He gets after it. He's like an extended tackle out there.
I like him.
I do too,
man. I'm a big fan.
If you can add him, I think that's a plus. And I think maybe you become more patient at that F/H position, that move tight end. I'm not saying that Kamari Anderson is a bad player. I'm not saying that at all. I would like to see somebody with a little bit more game experience than what he has at this point.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. I agree. That's a good point on the production versus potential. It's interesting about Kamari Anderson. He was an Under Armour All-American. And I believe a 4-star recruit with at least one site, and played in the game with Jackson Arnold and knows him well. So that was an interesting connection. And that's why when I pointed him out earlier, a lot of things lined up to where if Auburn was willing to take him, and I think maybe they are,
sure,
that probably works out. We'll see. I think they want 2 tight ends. Obviously, they brought in 2 tight ends that are different. So
I agree. Very different.
It's going to be another busy week for Auburn in the portal. It's open until the dead period starts on Monday, so visits will cease after this coming week. So there's another 6 days of visits. Then I think the portal is actually open until the 29th.
28th.
28th is what I said.
Yep.
And then, but visits, I don't know how they do that. Once the dead period goes into effect on the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd.
So guys can still enter all the way up until the 28th. And then they have another quiet period where people can take visits from the 2nd to the 6th, I think.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, teams that are playing in late bowl games or the playoff, after their season has ended, they have up to 5 days to enter the transfer portal. So that's what we mean when they say there's kind of more players are going to enter. You have a lot of guys right now that are on backloaded NIL contracts where it's written in that if you want this bonus, you're going to play in said bowl game or you're going to play in the playoff.
Oh,
you're not just able to jump into the portal. So anticipate some more people entering. But again, it's kind of that, is it better to have a bird in the hand or two in the bush, right? And to me, I'd rather take what you know right now than wait on potential.
Yeah, the contact period of January the 6th. Well, no, hold on. This is just, I don't know about the special, bowl games. But the January 6th, the dead period ends on the recruiting calendar. So,
gotcha.
But this whole week, we've got Ashton Daniels coming in. Horatio Fields is scheduled to come in. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more visits pop up.
Yeah, there's going to be some more for sure. I tell you, you realize what a crazy time we're in college football when you're interviewing a guy who's on a transfer portal visit, but he's got to hurry back and get there for the bowl game.
Dallas Walker.
Like, dude, that is
Can you
crazy.
imagine going to your coach's office and be like, hey, coach, I know we're trying to get ready for a ball game, but I need to hit the portal. You know what I mean?
An official visit to take this week.
I got an official visit where they're going to give me, steak for 4 meals a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the coach has just got to be like, all right, cool, man. I'll see you on Monday. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What choice does he have, right?
No. The thing, and Cole mentioned this earlier, the visits are starting to taper off, but decisions are going to start being made.
Yes.
And that's what we're really going to be tracking over the next week at Auburn Live on 3. If you haven't already, go check us out. Auburn Live on 3. Website's not your thing. Check us out at YouTube Plus. One more time, if you're in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, need some real estate help, look her up, man. Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you, man. One more time for Roback. Go to roback.com for generous 20% off all new customers, spelled RHOBACK. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with the promo code Auburn20. All right, fellas, that's going to wrap it up this week. We will be back Wednesday morning with a recruiting show. We'll get even more in depth with what's going on in Indy updates over the next 48 hours in Auburn's transfer portal. Appreciate everybody calling tonight. Appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate everybody watching. For Cole, for Alan, for Zach in the back who came to the front and went to the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay that left lane. See ya.